For today's video, we are on the other side of the service truck. I got a few comments about wanting to see welding, like welding gear, and I'm going to show the welder and stuff. So this video is going to be welding, torch cutting, tools and techniques and stuff. I'm not going to demonstrate any of that just because I'm sure we all know how to light a torch. We all probably know how to weld. But I'm going to show some of the stuff that I use and some other stuff. And if anybody has any questions, just comment. Let me know. Thank you. So first thing, let's start. So this is the back of the cab on the passenger side. This is the box with the bottles in it. It's taller and it's got this vent here to, if there's any like leaks or anything, it won't build up gas in here. It'll leak it outside. So this is the welding cabinet. It's the dual cabinet on this side. Let's open it up, and then the welder's in here. Hopefully the shadow's not too terrible. Yeah, it's good. So I'm gonna start with the welder. So this welder, obviously I don't own, it's part of the truck, but I feel like these Bobcat 250 welders are like the best gas welder, or not gas, well, I guess portable welders, what I should say, because I just like these millers a lot. I don't really like the Lincolns like this. It's just a personal preference. I mean, I don't think it matters if you have a Lincoln or a Miller. They're gonna both do the job and they're both good quality, but I just prefer the Miller portable, and I like a Lincoln, like a shop welder, a lot better. So the way these work is it's a welder generator. So obviously you start it and it's got a choke, but I'm not going to do that because it's really loud. But so it's got, you know, a 240 volt plug, and then it's got 4 110 plugs. This just has this snap-on reel plugged into it with 3 plugs. This was in the truck. I did not purchase this, so I just use it. But that's the generator portion. And then there's like a little chart here that explains the electrodes and stuff. So then these are bolted on. Some of them have those, I'm not sure what they're called, but they're the twist lock, they're lugs or whatever. I'm not sure. I'll notate what those are called. So that way you can switch the polarity if you have to switch it or whatever you want to do. So then this one, and what is nice about these is you can run a wire feeder. I don't have one. The shop doesn't have one, but you can run a wire feeder on these. And that's what the blue is. I'll get to that in a second. So then the way you set these up, just in case anybody wants to know, is this is your selector. So it basically switches from constant voltage, which is the blue, to constant amperage, which is for TIG welding and arc welding. So like right here, this is the selector switch. So if you want a electrode positive or electrode negative, you would switch it. Or if you want a TIG weld, you could switch it to here and set up a scratch start TIG. There's also AC welding. If you want to do AC, you can switch it there. And then if you switch it to this side, it's voltage, constant voltage. So then you can have it plus or minus. That's for a wire feeder.
This is the coarse adjustment knob. So the blue is for constant voltage, and the bottom there is 17 to 22 volts. And then the next notch there is 20 to 28 volts for constant voltage. And then the gray part is the constant amperage. So each little notch is a range between those. So the first one there is 40 to 130 amps. And then we have 60 to 160 amps. 80 to 225 amps, and then 100 amps to 250 amps. So then you would set that as your coarse adjustment, and then those little numbers are just the rod thickness as a suggestion. And then this is the percentage dial. So right now that's set to 8, so it's at 80% between 40 and 130 amps. That's what that is, how you would dial this in. So that's at 10 now, so we'd be at 130 amps on that. And these two knobs you would use to dial in your amperage. And then right now, so now we're at 20 to 28 volts. We're at full 28 volts because that switch there is at a 10 notch. So that's how you would adjust that. So now we're at 5, so we'd be right in the middle of that range between 20 and 28 volts. And then I'm just setting it back that way. It's the way I had it set, so I don't forget. These ground clamps here are my favorite. I think they're brass, but you just got to be careful because one of the other guys was welding with it, and he was done, so I went to grab it, and it was really hot. So they conduct electricity very, very well. But I like those better than the little crappy spring ones with the little braided wire in them. Because where these are solid brass, and they seem to work a lot better. But it's kind of preference. Those are really, really expensive. So it's just kind of one of those things where you gotta be aware if you want that. Keep the rods up here in those little rod containers. You got to keep them dry because even in this box it can get some humidity in here, and the rods will get wet, or not wet, but they'll just be soaked with humidity, and then that way you can't. It'll still weld, but it won't weld as well. You can just tell when there's humidity in there. Keep carbon arc rods down there and some groove rods. So that is a welding helmet or a welding hood. What do you guys say? I was talking to the guys the other day and I said a welding helmet, and they were both like, it's a hood. So tell me what you guys think. Welding jacket there. Keep that. These are my favorite kind of gloves. These are the Tillman 495, and then XL is just the size. But they're for arc welding or torch cutting. They're thick on both inside and outside of the hand. And they're relatively inexpensive because the Miller ones are kind of expensive, and I don't see the difference in the price. So I would just get these. I'll link them down below. They make some really nice ones that are pigskin. They're thick on the outside, but then on the inside of the hand, they're thin for like MIG welding. You can grab the trigger and you can feel the trigger and stuff a lot better. But yeah, they're real thin on the inside, and it just makes it nice. But then there's still thick protection on the back from the sparks. And these weren't very expensive, 12, 14 bucks, I'm not sure. That's just one of those little funny hats. I mean, there's millions of different designs. I picked that one. But if I'm just doing a tack weld or a quick weld, I won't wear that. But if it's something that I'm going to do a lot of welding, I'll put that on, and people kind of make fun of you. But if you ever get a spark on your hair or behind your ear or something, those are definitely worth wearing. So they're inexpensive. I think I got that one Tractor Supply, $5-6. These gloves, I think they were in the truck. I honestly don't know where they came from. I didn't purchase them, but I'm probably gonna take them out. I don't know. I've never used them. They're just gonna take them space, I guess. And then these are those cheap. Oh, they're stuck. Whoop, there we go. Come on, they're stuck under the divider. These are just the cheap Harbor Freight. They're MIG welding pliers, like Lincoln, and you can get a better brand of them, but they're really, really expensive, and those are like $6. So just get the Harbor Freight ones. And they're just a different multiple pliers for welding. So the inside there is for like the nozzles, and then it's got wire cutters. Those are for the nozzles right there, and then it's got wire cutters. That's for the tips on the wire feeder welders, and then you can use the ends as reamers, like if you got to ream something or ream out the cones, and then that's like a little hammer. You got to knock something into place. But those are super handy. I keep them in the truck because that's just where I keep all my tools, and if I have to weld in the shop, I just grab those. Those are really handy. And then I needed that for a job, and I just threw it there because it was the end of the day. So that's brand new. I just got that. And then this is just a Victor torch body, just plain old thing. All of our setups use these quick couplers, so everybody's hoses and everybody's torches can hook together. So that way, if you're in the shop, I can just grab a torch cart and the bottles will work, because we don't keep the torch. Everybody has their own torch. And that is a cutting head. If somebody refers to that as a cutting tip, they are incorrect. The end of it's the tip. The complete thing is the cutting head. Just a Rosebud, which I think Rosebud is a brand name. I'm not sure or what it is, but that's what it is. And that is a welding tip. I think that is a number 5. Let's see if it'll focus. Sometimes it doesn't want to focus on those little small things right there. Is it gonna focus? Yeah, it's a number 5. And those are really good for like if you gotta heat up a bearing, like on the end of a stick, you can get that in there and you can cut out a little section, and then you can melt it out. So this here is a number 10 lens. I've heard of some people having 11s or 12s, or I've heard of 13s also. I've never seen a 13. I've welded with a 10 and 11 before. Oh, Graham's out there helping me. So I've welded with different lens numbers, but this is something that a lot of people I've seen recently. But these are number 5 shade. I mean, you can see, there we go. See how it's like a lighter green. But if you're using any kind of torch cutting or anything, you need at least the number 5 shade. You can't just use sunglasses. So I've seen some of those glasses in like 6 and 7s also, but those are 5s. And then here's just a torch tip cleaner. They get dirty all the time. Just a cheap striker. The striker's pretty much anywhere. I don't really know where that one came from. This is like the fabrication section. I don't keep a tape measure on this side because I use a tape measure for a lot more stuff anyway. So that's on the other side, and if I have to do fabricating, I'll have the other side of the truck open anyway. So I just keep the tape measures on the other side, and then this is just an Empire combination square. I think I got it at Home Depot. You can get the Harbor Freight ones, different ones. They're all kind of the same. I guess different quality. That one's got a little scribe in it. I think they kind of all do. They give these levels out for the guys that lay the pipe, and I grabbed one for just to keep around. They're really nice. I did a short on that. That's it's pipe wrap. You can wrap it around kind of anything round. If I can get it open, it's kind of stuck. Just a fiber wrap. I've done a short video about it. You can wrap it around for something, get a parallel line, something circular. So that's just a cup, wire wheel. I needed that for doing cutting edges, so that's brand new. I just got that. I haven't really put it anywhere. I had to flip some cutting edges and had to clean up the rust, so I used my needle scaler, but I asked the welder. He's kind of the welding supply guy as well, and he gave me that. And then just some hard stones. And the nice thing is he always gets those hard stones with the nuts in them like that. That way you don't lose or have to worry about where the nut for your grinder, like mine is right there, but the nut and the spacer for your grinder, you can just use the ones on the wheels. That's what's nice about him, is he gets all those. They're pretty much all that way. The wire wheels, everything. So then that's the guard. I don't really use it because it's kind of a pain in the butt to put on. I'm sure most safety guys say you need to put the guard and the handle on all the time, but whatever. And then these are just some wire wheel, I don't know what those are called, disc style or whatever, for grinding or wire reeling parallel, I guess. Cutoff wheel right there. Must have fell. That one came with the grinder, that's why it doesn't have the little nut on it. So I still have that. That's a backing pad. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those before or used those. I like those a lot. Where's the nut for it? Oh, there's a cutoff wheel. Where's the nut for that thing? Oh, there's the pad. I've heard them called different things. Cling spores. I've heard them called Cubetrons. I think those are brand names. That's just Diablo. That one's 50 grit. They make 36, 180, 200, I think. They make just different grits. It's like sandpaper. And I like those because they make a really, really nice finish. They make a really nice finish for if you do a weld, you can grind it and kind of shape it really nice, and it looks good. And those are pretty inexpensive, but you have to use that special kind of a nut, which is not that big of a deal. That kit I got at Home Depot. It was 3 of those little pads, the backer and the nut, for like $20. And you can just get any kind of little pads for them. So I just keep all the stuff back there. This grinder, I did a short video about it also. It's just a Ryobi. Those are just flap discs. You know, it's just a bunch of little pieces of sandpaper. And it also has the nut on it. He gets those ones with the nuts on them too, so that's really cool. But this grinder, I bought it at Home Depot. I needed it right then and there. Didn't really want to spend the money for the Milwaukee one. I had a Milwaukee one before. Thing lasted me, I don't know, 15 years. Thing was great, but I let somebody borrow it like an idiot, I know. And they broke the casting right across the top where the handle goes. And it still worked, but it just vibrated like crazy. And it wasn't worth it to replace it or to rebuild it or to fix it. So I just got a new one. I just went to grab that one. It was like $39 at Home Depot. And that thing is held up. I wasn't expecting it to. I figured I'll just wait and I'll buy the Milwaukee one later. But I'm happy with that. If that thing ever goes out, I would definitely spend. They're probably like $49 now because everything's kind of gone up in the last, year or so. But I would definitely buy that again. Oh, hey, there's another cutoff wheel that kind of got lost. But the nice thing, some people say handles aren't the best, don't use the handles. And I'm sure a safety guy would say guard and handle all the time. But sometimes you just can't get it on there. I like to keep the handle on just because I feel safer that way, but some people don't. I've had a grinder come away from me before. So I just use the handle. But the nice thing about the Ryobi one too is it keeps the wrench right there in the end of the handle. And I've never had that thing fall out. I've dropped that grinder off of an excavator, like a 470 excavator up top, and it that thing stays in there, doesn't come out. I haven't never had it come out. So whatever they do to retain that, they did a good job. But I would definitely recommend that thing. It's not as expensive as the Milwaukee's or the DeWalt grinders or whatever. Yeah, it's got the little side trigger, which some people don't like. So then, this is one of those things where if that thing ever dies, I don't know if I'd buy a new one, but it's kind of sentimental. I've had that thing forever. Just keep it back there. I do use it on occasion. If I have to use my hole saws or drill a big hole or a lot of big holes or a lot of even small holes, I'll get that thing out instead of using my battery drill. It came with a handle too. I still have that. A lot of those handles get lost, but still got that. I bought the thing used at a flea market, so who knows how old that thing is. But it still works good. Doesn't make a lot of bang noise. But again, I'm not sure I would replace that if that thing ever goes out. Just kind of one of those things. Still keep it around just as, sentimental, I guess. But I do use it on occasion. I keep a few more things in here underneath that shelf. There is those are jumper cables. Those are those little triangles if you get in an accident. Keep those in there. That's a Milwaukee Portaband. And then there's a carbon arc or an air gouger up there too. If you guys want more information about that, let me know. So this Milwaukee Portaband, it's one of those things, if you were just an equipment guy, you probably wouldn't buy one of those. But we do a lot of work on water trucks and stuff. They rip off the spray bars on the front. We make a lot of brackets and stuff. So I do use that quite a bit. And then there's a couple more things here I'm showing about this welding cabinet. So then on the door there, I keep the extension cord. I keep it in that loop like that. It keeps it kind of from getting tangled. I know it looks tangled, but if you pre-tangle an extension cord, it can't get retangled when you go to undo it. Those are those F clamps. That one's just from Harbor Freight, but the thing works all right. It was like 14, 15 bucks. Not very expensive. Works pretty good. And then those are the Bremen from Harbor Freight, the like the old vice grips, the big clamps, but those are cheap and affordable, and those work really good. Use those for like welding if you gotta hold something down or whatever. Those work really, really well. I like those a lot. So that's the cabinet and the welding setup. Hope you guys like that part. And then here's the torch cabinet. So I've shown this before because there's the nitrogen bottle, but if you don't keep that strap super, super tight, which I need to tighten it, the bottles tend to roll. So that one kind of turned like that, and you see that hose is kind of pinched a little bit. I need to fix that. And then it looks like my hose got a little pinched right there from the regulator. I just noticed that. It's probably fine though. I don't think it's leaking or anything. And then those are those quick connects I was talking about. All of our torch hoses have those on it, so it makes it really nice for anybody can hook up to anybody's torch. It makes it handy because sometimes you got to use somebody else's bottles or something else like that.
Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Anybody has anything they want to add or any questions, just comment down below.